Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. This is Renika Hamilton. I am your self care vlogger, and I am so excited to continue the conversation on my 3 lessons learned during my self healing process. So, last week we talked about how you should not be blaming other people for things that are happening in your life, but try to accept responsibility, even though people might do things in your life that's really not like the most nicest thing they could do. Um, it's really helpful in general to stay away from blaming others. Because when you're blaming other people, you're not taking accountability for whatever is going on with you internally. And I talked about how that triggers, things to be attracted to you to be in opposition of what you're really wanting because you're so focused on taking that focus off of yourself and putting it on everybody else instead of what you could have worked on to prevent yourself from being in this particular situation in the first place. And I talked about how you can be a villain in anybody's story and you're not even trying to be. Because people are going to look at you as at their perspective is not it's not your job to change somebody's mind about who you are. They're going to believe who you are just based on what they believe. And you have to be okay with that. That's how we get haters. That's how we get people that just don't like us for no reason. It's because we might remind them of something in their life or their childhood or something good that's not happening in their life that they just might not like too much. And it just reminds them too much of where their life is. And you are just the catalyst of bringing out whatever it is that's going on with them. So at the end of the day, it's not up to us as individuals to try to get other people to see us in a different light. You just have to be who you are, be your authentic self, and, hope for the best. So, and I know you do have certain situations where you do want to change your hats for different roles or different parts of your life. So, but as long as you have that authentic piece of who you are in those different areas, then, that's all you can be. Right. So, like, you might not be the same person at home that you are at work, but there are some authentic pieces of you that you bring to work. To just get by. So they do get to see an authentic piece of you, not all of you, but an authentic piece of you. So that's what I mean. So the second lesson that I learned is that you really, truly do need to forgive whoever your villains were if you want to detach yourself away from that feeling and be able to start fresh and focus on your path presently and moving forward. So you cannot hold on to that past forever, right? So just think about somebody that you're mad about. Like, let's think about somebody in high school, for instance. There have been plenty of people that did stuff to me in high school. I used to hold on to that stuff for dear life. And I would still bring it up. Like when I started going to college, for instance, I would bring up these situations from high school. And by the time I got to my senior year and in college, people are like, "Wow, you still talking about high school stuff?" Which is really, really good. It was like a good reminder, like, okay, yeah, it's time to let that stuff go. That's how we sound when we are holding on to stuff that happened way back in our past that we're bringing into our present and into our future. If it's still bothering you today, what somebody did to you years ago, you are not able to let go and move on and focus with your life in the way that you need to. And that is unhealthy for you. Forgiveness is not about the people that hurt you. Forgiveness is about healing yourself. Because I guarantee you, the people who hurt you have moved completely on with their life. They're not sitting here thinking, oh my God, I hurt this person when I was in the third grade. oh, I feel like a terrible person. No, they're not doing that. But you holding on to it is like, why would you do that? They've moved on. You're still giving them power over your life. Why? When I learned that lesson, it was like an immediate like release. I was just going through like, ooh, let me write down everybody I forgive. And I wrote down, I have been holding on to lots of hurt and pain from just various people. Like I could literally think of somebody's name, or somebody could say a name to me, and I would have all this rush of feeling towards me, which was a very negative thing. Think about that. If you're trying to attract goodness in your life, but you think about somebody and all this negativity comes up, you're pushing all of that goodness away from you. So why not release it? Release that negativity. Let it go. Because those people are not thinking about you anymore to this day. And it is not doing anything for your life to sit here and have this grudge against somebody that did something to you for so long ago. This goes for family members too. Like, I understand how hard it is to forgive a family member that you have to see on a daily basis, or frequently, not daily, but frequently. Because you go to family events, unless you just say, I'm not going to see my family anymore. I'm just not going to go around my family anymore. Who are you really hurting? Your family might say, yeah, I miss this person. Oh, wish they would come around. But at the end of the day, they're going to keep doing whatever it is they're going to keep. Like, just because your presence is not there, or you have made this decision that, oh, I'm not going to engage with this person anymore, I promise you, it doesn't stop them from living their life. I promise you, I can't think of one scenario, one situation where I've held something against somebody and said, I'm not going to show up in their life anymore. And then they had an event and they were like, oh my God, I cannot do this today because Renika is not here. I've never, ever, I can't even think of a scenario where that would be possible. I mean, I could see me having an event and not showing up to my own event. And if the doors were open and people were able to come into the event and the show was already done, I'm pretty sure the show would still go on. So don't think like we really have to be careful about how we are attaching ourselves to something that is creating toxicity within our own selves. Then what happens is you continue to carry that on, and the next time you see somebody that exhibits that behavior, you're taking out your frustration on somebody who's totally innocent, because they might remind you, and they might have said something that triggers you from what happened to you when you were 8 years old. And all of a sudden you have a whole attitude with somebody who's totally innocent. They just happened to say something that your mom said to you when you were 8 and it triggered you, and now they're getting bad treatment because of that. So this was a very, very, very good lesson for me. And immediately, like I said, as I started to think about all those people that I was holding on to, that had hurt me, another realization came up too. It's the fact that I never did confront any of these people for how they made me feel. So that's not their fault. That's actually mine. So if somebody hurts you, and I'm a non-confrontational type of person. I try to limit all confrontations as much as possible because I'm about peace. I love to bring about peace. I'm peaceful. And so when I interact with people, if somebody just does something that's just disturbing my peace, I prefer to just remove myself. That's my approach. I'm not going to engage in a situation where I'm going to continue to get my peace disturbed and then get angry and get all emotionally involved for something that I could just simply get up and remove myself from. But what was happening is, with me not confronting them with that situation, it was harboring more anger within myself. And that's what exposed that I need to be able to say my piece. And I could say my piece without a whole bunch of confrontation. I could say whatever it is that I don't want to say, get it out of my system, and then let it go. walk away from the situation. So I've learned how to do that effectively. I've also learned how to be around certain people that I still have to be around today because they might be my family or they might be friends or they might be coworkers. And I still have to engage with them. So how can I have a peaceful conversation without any anxiety, without um, any feelings, any hard feelings, any negative feelings when I talk to them? And it was just so amazing for me to do that exercise where I was able to write down and be like, I forgive you. I remember everything. When people hurt you, it's like the details that you remember about that situation. Like you remember so many things. Like it's crazy how we hold on to stuff. But I was like, I'm letting that go. I survived. I made it through that situation. Yes, it made me very angry. How should I have handled that? Maybe I should have said XYZ. Maybe if I would have did this, I wouldn't have felt so bad and it wouldn't have triggered me to stay in my system so long after it was done. And truly forgive, somebody for something that they probably didn't even realize they did to you. And so it's been really nice to have that burden like totally relieved. I feel like cleansed inside. I feel really relieved and I feel so much better. It's like a whole weight has been lifted off of me. And I'm just walking around freely now. I feel so much better. So when I hear people talking about, people who have wronged them or done things wrong, I immediately kind of share that experience. Like, oh, so if this person was in front of you today, like, do you have to have a conversation with this person? The answer is no. Okay, well, if you don't have to have a conversation with them anymore, or you don't really care what's going on in their life, why are you letting them have so much control over yours? And when you think about it that way, it makes a lot of sense. It's time to let it go. You're not going to get something all of a sudden from this person that you wanted because everybody is unique. If they wanted a relationship with you, they probably would have done everything they could to get in that relationship with you. Or even if they tried, you probably just like caused it not to happen based on how you were feeling and projecting on them. They probably just got scared or just like, oh, never mind. I don't even want to try anymore. So you have to really understand that people are all different. We're all going to do things differently. Just because what you're expecting in your mind for somebody to do in a situation doesn't mean that they're going to do it. And it also doesn't mean that you would necessarily do it if the shoe was on the other foot. Sometimes we have to think about somebody else's situation and what you would have done if you were the person doing that. I love to do that sometimes. Like if I'm upset about something and I think about it from their perspective and I put myself in the shoes that they're in, how would I respond in that situation? How would I feel? How would I, rectify the situation? And sometimes it makes you think like, wow, that probably would be embarrassing to have to come back and admit to. Or it might make me feel really scared to admit that I did that. This is why I also try not to do things that make me, too afraid to accept what I've done wrong. I don't do wrong by people because I don't, first of all, like to do wrong by people. And second of all, I don't want to have to admit that I did anything wrong because that's not my intent. That's not my nature. So that second lesson of detaching yourself away from the negativity so you can bring in the positivity has been such an amazing learning experience for me. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to attract positive things into your life, you want a life that is beautiful, that's like the best kind of life, you are really going to have to work on getting that negativity off of your heart, releasing it so that those good things can come into you more frequently. Because if you have negativity, think about this right now. If you have a lot of negativity in your life right now, you're still getting good things. Think how great life could be, even better, if you were to remove all of that negativity so that you could attract even more. Like if life is already going good for you, imagine how it could be even better releasing those things and not focusing on something that has nothing to do with your life right now. So you can focus more on what's going on now and what you want your life to be in the future. So that was lesson number 2. I'm going to cover lesson number 3 in the next video. So the first lesson again was not to blame others. Second lesson is to forgive yourself so you can detach yourself from any negativity and from the pain too. Because if you have pain and suffering, that's also a negative type of feeling that you want to let go. It kind of brings you down. So you want to do things that lift you up and that open you up to receive all the wonderful blessings and positivity into your life. In the next series of this, we're going to talk about the third lesson, which is all about self-validation and knowing your own worth. I can't wait to get into that topic next week. So thank you all so much for joining again today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to covering this topic with you next week. Bye.